To form the continuous past, it is used subject, auxiliar to be, and verb more ing. When the subject is I, he, she, and it, use the auxiliar was, and the verbs are at, ing. When the subject is you, we, and they, using the auxiliar were, and the verb is added ing. The structure to form affirmative sentences is this. First the subject, after the auxiliar, after the verb more ing. For example, I was talking. They were learning. The structure to form negative sentences is this. First the subject, after the auxiliar, after not, after the verb more ing. For example, I was not talking. Talking. And they were not learning. The structure to form interrogative sentences is this. First goes the auxiliar, after the subject, after verb more ing. For example, were you talking? Were they learning?
Now we're gonna talk about the past simple. First of all, let's see the structure. For positive sentences, we're gonna use the subject, the verb in past, and the complement. For example, I did my homework yesterday. For negative sentences, we use the subject plus did not plus verb in present plus the complement. For example, I did not do my homework yesterday. For question sentences in positive, we use the auxiliary verb did plus subject plus the verb in present plus the complement. For example, did you do your homework yesterday? For question sentences in negative, we use the auxiliary verb did not plus the subject plus the verb in present plus the complement. For example, did not you do your homework yesterday? As you can see, in the negative sentences, the question sentences in positive and negative, we then change the verb in the past form because we have the auxiliary verb did or did not. So well, finally, we're gonna see that for regular verbs, we have to add the ending ed. For example, like, want, and need change into liked, wanted, and needed. And for irregular verbs, the verb changes completely. For example, for the verb be, change into was and were, have change into had, and eat change into ate. So it's important that you learn the whole verb list.
I'm going to talk about the present continuous. In the affirmative form, we use the subject and verb to be and verb with ing and complement. For example, I am working in the office or he is working in the office. In the negative form, we use the subject after verb to be in negative and verb with ing and complement. For example, I am not working in the office or he's not working in the office. In the interrogative form, we use verb to be more the subject and verb with ing and the question mark. For example, are you working in the office or is he working in the office? About the present simple, there are three forms: affirmative, negative, and interrogative. In the affirmative, we use the subject after verb in infinitive and complement. In the verb in the infinitive, for three persons, it add the letter s depending of verb. For example, I play soccer or he plays soccer for three persons. In the negative form, we use the subject after auxiliary don't or doesn't and verb and complement. For example, I don't play soccer. For three persons is he doesn't play soccer. In the interrogative form, we use auxiliary do or does after the subject and verb after complement and the question mark. For example, do you play soccer or does he play soccer?
Now let's talk about the future simple. First of all, let's see the structure. We need the subject plus will or will not or want plus verb in simple form plus the complement. But what happened with interrogative form? Well, if needed, we will use the question word, which can be what, when, which, etc. plus will plus the subject plus verb in simple form plus complement. So now we use it to talk about the spontaneous decisions. For example, I will go to the gym tomorrow. That's something that you decided at the moment, but you're not sure to go. And finally, we use it to make a promise. For example, I will call you when I get home.
You're going to is used to actions that are planned to be carried out in the future, usually near future. To conjugate the idiomatic future, we use it as subject, more are, is, going to, more, verb. The verb is in infinitive. For example, I am going to eat. In the negative form, to form the lineal is either not after am, are, is, going to. For example, I am not going to dance tonight. In the interrogation form, the subject auxiliary verb are inverted. For example, are you going to dance tonight? Positive form, I am going to eat, and in the negative form, I am not going to dance, and in the interrogative, are you going to dance? The subject and auxiliary verb are inverted.